Welcome to this topic, statistics. So this is an interesting topic. It's very simple, just a lot of words and a lot of tables, and also you need to get some new skills on how to work with your calculator. So we're going to first start with kind of questions, but they can come even in paper 2. Yeah, but what is important is to get acquainted with the terminologies. That's what is important, because the questions, the way they are posed, they use certain language which only people studied statistics, or the so-called statisticians, can understand. From here onwards, you are a statistician, so you should be able to understand whatever terminologies they are going to be used. So we're going first to start with data representation, how data is represented. Then later we'll take a look at measures of average, different ways of measuring average. Average is more like the middle part of the of numbers of something. So there are different ways of measuring the middle or the center part of numbers. Then we're also going to take a look at measures of spread. Spread is how far numbers are from the center. So we're going to learn how to measure that. Then we will end up with paper 2 types of question, which of course are graphs. So statistics basically deals with collecting, recording, analyzing, and representation of data. For those who are going to go further with school, maybe at some point you'll be expected to do a thesis or a research. So the skills in statistics are supposed to be deployed. So the goal is just to make informed decision from the collected data. So you collect data, you analyze, then at the end of the day, you're supposed to make informed decision from the collected data. But at this level, this is just information, doesn't really matter. In short, for grade 12, it's not important, yes, but it's good if you see it in that way, because you're going to enjoy. So in this syllabus, we're going to look at data analysis and data representation. So we're going to start with forms of data. So there are two forms of data. The first one is called ungrouped data set. So ungrouped data set is just data which is not grouped, which is not put in groups. So for example, we can go in a class, we get the age of students, and we can record them like this. So once we do that, we're going to have all these ages. So one of the students in that class is 19 years, other one 16, the other one 23, the other one 23, just like that. So this is ungrouped data. How do you tell that it is ungrouped data? Any data which is like this is ungrouped. You're going to see how a grouped data looks like, and you'll be able to tell the difference between the two. So sometimes so this is one additional knowledge that we can do to data. So to this ungrouped data, which is like this, sometimes we may want to reduce what are called redundancies or repetition. So instead of writing 19 here and 19 here, or 23 here, here, and here, we can just write, maybe for 19, we can just write 19, and we can indicate somewhere down that there are two 19s. Just like that, we can go to 16, we can count how many 16s are here. We've got 16 here, we've got another 16 here, and we've got another 16 here. So we can write 3 here, showing that there are 3 16s. With that being said, we can add rewrite this table like this, where the age is like this. Then we have a number of students having that age. So for example, those who are 14 years 1, 16 years 3, 19 years 2, 23 years 4. So this makes us to write all these in short version. Look at the entries we had here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a better way of representing our data than this. So that's one new information that I've added from just basic data. In short, we can we can use numbers that shows how many subject or how many students have that age. Then this leads us to a term called frequency. Frequency is defined as the number of times a data set appears in the collection of data. So the numbers we're writing down, like 2, those are called frequencies. So number of students, the best way to write this, instead of writing number of students in statistics, use the word frequency. So frequency just shows how many times a certain data appears. 14 appears once, 16 appears 3 times, 19 appears twice, just like that. So instead of writing number of students, we tend to use the word frequency. So when you meet this word frequency, don't get baffled. Know that it just means how the number of times a given data appears. The second type of data are called grouped data set. So for grouped data set, in case let's say we have this, the other thing we can do is we can group the ages. Instead of saying how many are 14, we can say how many are between 10 and 15. So all those who are between 10 and 15 are going to be put in one group. In this case, we only have 14, which is between 10 and 15. Again, we can form another group. How many are, maybe we can say this second group is for those who are 15 to 20 years. So it'll be like how many are between 15 and 20 years. So those who are 16, 19 are going to be put in the same group. So such kind of data where all the information that has been given is put into groups is called grouped data set. So we had this for age, which we had these frequencies. So if we want to put them in groups, then we're going to have something like this. So say between 10 to 15, we want to have 14. So the frequency is 1. Between 15 and 20, between 15 and 20 or 16 and 19. So we can say there are 3 16s and 2 19s. So we're talking about 3 plus 2. In short, the data that is between 15 and 20 appears 5 times. 3 are 16, 2 are 19. So we don't care about 16 and 19. So long as it's between 15 and 20, it is in the same group, making the total in that group to be 3 plus 2, 5. Then again, another group is 20, 25, which is just 23 here. So it's 4. So this is called grouped data. So some more terminologies. This 10 to 15 is a group, which is also called a class. So this is called a class. So this class has got what is called a class interval. So a class interval is just the width of the class, or the difference between the highest number and the smallest number. So the class interval for this class is 10 to 15, or just 15. Yeah, I think the best way is just 10 to 15, or just the difference. But the width of the class here is the difference between the two, or just 10, 15, or 5 if you want. But what is important when they talk about class interval, they're talking about the difference between the big number and the smaller number. In short, if this group was from 10 to 16, then it had a higher class interval than this one, which is 10 to 15. So class interval basically is just where it starts and where it ends, something like that. So that's what you should take. Class interval is where it starts to where the group ends. Then the lowest number in a class is called the lower bound, and the highest number is called the upper bound. So for this class, the lower bound is 10, the upper bound is 15. So other than writing classes like this, the other way in which classes are written is using inequalities. So instead of writing 10 to 15, now we can write 10 less than x less than 15, or 10 less than or equal to x less or equal to 15. So this shouldn't be confusing. This is just way of writing data, way of understanding data, the terminologies. There's no much thinking in here. We started with ungrouped data, then we represented this data using frequency. We introduced the word frequency. Then after that, we grouped the data. So we said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to create groups. The first group is those who are between 10 to 15, which we said only 14. Those who are 14 are between 10 to 15, their frequency is 1. Then those who are between 15 to 20, these ones, their frequency, these ones and these ones, their frequency is 3 plus 2, which is 5. And those who are between 20 and 25, it's these ones, their frequency is 4. So this is everything about data representation. Hope you have enjoyed the introduction to statistics, and for now you cannot answer any question until you watch the next video. Oh, by the way, I thought I was done. I'm not done actually. There are 2 more terms we need to get acquainted with. So the first one is called cumulative frequency. So the word cumulative, if something is accumulating, you know, like it keeps on adding on to what is already there, cumulative. So cumulative frequency. So the frequency that we discussed, we can also write it in what is called cumulative frequency. So let's say we are at this age where the frequency is. So the cumulative frequency, what we do is you go to the first class, you get its frequency, you write it. You go to the second class, you get the frequency of the class, and you add the frequency of the previous class. So 5 plus 1, 6. So in short, we are adding this 5 to what is already written. So let me put it in a clear way. So for the first class, you get what is there, which is 1. For the second class, you get its frequency, you add to this 1 here, which is going to give you 6. For the third class, you get what you have, you add what is already there, 4, which is going to give you 10. So this is now something new, cumulative frequency. Then other than cumulative frequency, there's what is called relative cumulative frequency. You should know the difference, because sometimes they bring questions that have cumulative frequency, sometimes they bring questions that have relative cumulative frequency. So what is relative cumulative frequency? So relative cumulative frequency is like this. You get the cumulative frequency, you divide it by the total or the highest cumulative frequency. The highest cumulative frequency is 10, right, which is like the total. So you get this, you divide it by the highest cumulative frequency. Let me say that again. You get this, you divide it by the highest cumulative frequency. So always get the frequency of a class, then you divide it by the highest cumulative frequency. So 1 divided by 10 is going to give you 0.1. 6 divided by 10 is going to give you 0.6. And for this, 10 divided by 10 is going to give you 1. And for relative cumulative frequency, the last class should always give you 1. Always 1. Okay? So this is this is our introduction to statistics. I think now we are done, so we're going to end here. Happy solving.